You know, sometimes your bad defense just makes a lock look like a center, as long as you don't look silly on camera. Rappy! Hello and welcome to the Rugby Update. That certainly was one of the rugby weekends of all time, eh? Sometimes there's just a whole bunch of mismatches and the rugby is a little meh. Such is life. So let's just have a quick look at the games over the weekend, set to some soothing reggae music. And then we can get into losing our minds over the Rugby Awards. On Friday night, Stade de France put on another memorable pre-game show, which was unfortunately followed by a much less memorable game. I think every team going to Paris now has to have a pre-game dance or challenge or something, because the anthems are not chasing their dragon. France won comfortably by 37 points to 23 in a game that probably won't be remembered in years to come. The first game on Saturday was at the Aviva in Dublin, where Fiji took on hosts Ireland, and this game was even more of a blowout than the night before. Even if Sam Prendergast was sent off for his line change, Frawley was still on the bench and probably would have come on 20 minutes later, meaning all would have been well. What a dumb rule. A boring 52-17 result showed that Fiji's discipline issues can snowball if the pressure from a good team becomes too much. Here's a fun fact. In 2015, the world ranking points difference between Japan and the Springboks was 13.09. This past Saturday, the world ranking points difference between Wales and the Springboks was 15.77, taking into account the extra 3 points Wales got for being at home. According to the rankings then, it would have been a bigger upset if Wales had beaten the Boks this past weekend than the whole Brighton miracle thing, which I'm always trying to forget. Wales didn't win, so it wasn't. 12 points to 45 for the visitors was a fair reflection of how much these two teams have diverged since 2019. Remember those heady days. On to the next game we went at Allianz Stadium, where the Italians were hosting the All Blacks, and I was just hoping the guys in blue would remember how to defend and not ship 96 points this time. Fortunately, they did manage to defend, and it was a closer, if not super entertaining, 11-29 win for the All Blacks. Job done. Scotland versus Australia was the big game I was looking forward to this past weekend. And then I missed it because I was having a lovely milk tart cheesecake at Woolworths. The weekend's pattern of mismatches just continued, and Scotland's attack power was too much to contain for the Wallabies. 27-13 the final score there, and some niggle between the two countries' midfield will make the Lions to a little spicier. Hey, I mentioned Japan before, and here they are again. And I also mentioned Allianz Stadium before, and somehow that's here again. Also, the mismatch blowouts was mentioned before, and that's also returned. 59 points to 14 for England, a light balm on the sore of losing every match they've played since their last win, which was also against Japan, who I just mentioned just then. And that was the end of the Autumn Nations series, kind of. Australia and Ireland are still playing this coming weekend, but I think it's outside of the Regulation 9 window, so I have no idea who's going to show up for these two teams. But it was a good month of rugby, in my opinion, and we learned a lot about every team. France seems to be shaking off that post-World Cup depression. Ireland is looking a little behind on their player development process, especially at prop. England are getting better, but at a slower pace than they would like, I think. Scotland have a slick as shit backline, but a forward pack that can be beaten. Italy are not the worst of the Six Nations teams. Wales is. Australia has a slick backline, but a forward pack that can be beaten even by Scotland. The All Blacks without Richie Mo'unga is already pretty damn good, and the Springboks are the best team in the world. International rugby is just, it is so good, and I've enjoyed watching all of it this year. And now cut the music, because we have to look at who got to take home little statues from Monaco at the World Rugby Awards late on Sunday, I think. Last week, we went through some of the nominations, and I gave my prediction on who I thought would win in those categories. So the World Women's Player of the Year is Ellie Kildunn, as I foretold. And it wasn't really hard because she's what you get when the national sport becomes popular enough that talent alone won't get you into the side. You have to be genetically more gifted than your compatriots too, which she is. She looks massive. I also got the Men's Breakthrough Player of the Year award right with Wallace Atiti. Again, pretty easy to predict. The perm aficionado was a menace on the field most of the year. I got the Men's Overall Player of the Year correct as well, and I wonder if I should buy a lottery ticket. Nah. It was all pretty easy. I will admit that by the end of last week, I had convinced myself that Eben Etzebeth might deserve to win it on a DiCaprio clause. But Pieter-Steph du Toit was really the best player over the last 12 months. From the World Cup final all the way to his last match against England, he was just almost unstoppable. He now joins some pretty big names on more than one World Player of the Year win, and he might go down as the best blindside flank of the modern era. Or maybe ever? Men's Try of the Year went to Nolan Le Garrec, which is wrong. It should have gone to Georgia because their 5-pointer was much more entertaining. The ladies' version went to Marine Menager. I'm not sure. Also, another kinda okay score, but nothing that will set the world alight. I'm not fucking touching the Sevens Awards. The World Rugby Space Jam teams were also released on Sunday night, and the men's one is pretty damn good. Oxenchair and Lomax deserve to be there. They make up integral parts of the two best scrums in the world. Malcolm Marx, my buddy, my friend, my parasocial companion. I don't know. Cody Taylor, Bonge Mbonambi and Dan Sheehan all might have something to say about him being there. Eben Etzebeth and Tyke Byrne make up a brilliant second row pair. Eben can steal all the balls in the air and Tyke Byrne can steal all the balls on the ground. You wouldn't need anything else. Matera, Doris and Pieter-Steph du Toit all make up the back row, which is good, but it's kind of putting in two blindside flanks. Jos van der Fleer, Siya Kolisi or any one of the French players might have been able to get in there. Jamison Gibson Park at 9 is a no-brainer call, and D-Mac at 10 is a sign of no brains maybe. Marcus Smith, Crowley or heck even Pollard might have been a better call there. The centers contain Dukes and Jesse, and they have been brilliant all the way from the World Cup to now, outplaying basically everyone. But shout out to Bundy and Sione, who have both been very, very good. Lastly, we've got the back three of James Lowe, Cheslin Kolbe and Will Jordan. All brilliant. James Lowe has the kicking boot, Cheslin Kolbe has been taking boots, and Will Jordan has the jet boots. Anyways, now we must finally get on to Coach of the Year. I cannot find a list of nominees, but the winner of Coach of the Year was Jérôme Deray. He was the French Sevens coach who took them to Olympic gold and also won the grand final of the Sevens series after qualifying 5th throughout the season. He is the first ever Sevens coach to win the award. He also beat out guys like Andy Farrell, John Mitchell, Rassie Erasmus and Cash van Rooyen. I don't have a list of nominees, so anyone could have been on there. This does signal though that the Olympic Sevens must be seen as one of the pinnacles of the sport now. So going forward, Sevens coaches should be nominated more often, right? Anyways, this video is also seen as one of the pinnacles of the sport, but it has to stop there. I will see you all next week so we can talk about Munster's record loss to the Lions at home. Sorry guys. Bye.